Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Everyone, hey, welcome into the program. So, Happy New Year, obviously, first of all. Hopefully it has treated everyone well so far. And it's going to take some time for 2021 to feel like, not 2020. But everyone, I really do hope that you have a better year this year. It's going to be good. It's going to be good for a number of reasons. And hey, welcome into Computer America. So as for our broadcasting years, just so you know, our first episode was in February 1st, 1991. So not this month, but next month, Computer America will be entering its 30th year of syndication, and 30th year of broadcasting, and I believe syndication happened sometime in the late 90s. Obviously, our resident historian here is not... our resident historian is not here, so there you go. But everyone, we want to thank you for continuing to listen to Computer America, and we definitely appreciate it. So today on the program, we have a full hour of computer and technology news. We felt this was the best way to kind of jump back into the show. And hey, let's face it, a lot of stuff has happened. We're going to try to keep the news relevant, but we're not going to be afraid to talk about some of the recent happenings. And, one of those is going to be, for sure, stories are starting to trickle in from CES 2021. CES 2021 will be an all online event. Normally we are out there broadcasting, covering the event. This year it's going to be different, and how it's actually going to work out, who the heck knows? But we're going to do our best to cover that, and there's already articles coming out, looking at some from GM, LG, companies like that are already starting to put out their press releases. And, that's only going to happen more and more because the actual event will be January 11th through the 14th. But at the same time, this is going to be almost like a very different kind of press event. Normally it's squeezed into 3 days, and even then a lot of people kind of slack off on the third day. And there's events before, there's events after. It's everyone's scrambling to get as much media attention as possible. And this year there's going to be no physical location, so everyone has to sift through tons of emails, tons of video presentations. I know I've already received like a dozen invites to different conferences and get-togethers and meetups. I don't know how effective those are going to be, but some people are saying that this is going to be a reckoning for media. This is going to be a huge shift in how things are covered. And the more I look at this, and the more it's just kind of not going to name any names, because I honestly don't think anyone is doing this improperly. But no, the way that this is thrown together, almost at the last minute, even though we knew about this months ahead, but everyone just kind of having their own video stream, and there's not really a unifying video event for CES. I still foresee physical locations definitely playing a big part in the future of CES, and really the future of media. Media likes to physically be there for one reason or another, be it the buffet, be it for actually shaking people's germy hands. I don't know what it is, but that will probably continue to be a thing. So my point with all that is that CES 2021 starts next week, and a story here or there might slip by me, but we're going to try to keep our coverage during CES and a little bit after CES, when we will have these companies on the air with us to discuss their products and announcements here with myself and our audience. So be sure to look for that. Now, with that being said, though, I want to go ahead and jump into computer and technology news, because we have a lot of different stories that we can cover. And yeah, I have really 20 tabs open. It's going to be a really information dense segment. So everyone sit back, relax, and I should probably mention computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything, including past shows, future shows, show notes, articles, reviews, topics, anything that we do here on Computer America. Our website, computeramerica.com, is the best place to find out about it. And while you're there, be sure to check out the social media links, give us a follow, give us a like, helps us out a lot, and hey, you get to stay informed on what we do. So all that being said, check out our YouTube, check out the podcast, and be sure to leave a review of any kind. The algorithm, honestly, the algorithm measures interactions, not so much if you like or hate it. So if you really hate us, first of all, don't hate us. Second of all, go ahead and let us know, because that helps us either way. So everyone, with all of that being said, let's go ahead and get started with computer and technology news, brought to you by Computer America. Here we go. So everyone, okay, let's go ahead and get this kicked off. And I think that for our first story, ton of different stuff that we could do. And this one, because I'm not really too sure why Bitcoin is doing what it's doing. And much like the very unprecedented, huge run that Bitcoin had back in late 2018, when it went from $1,000 or a couple $100 all the way up to $10,000, we're seeing something similar, although admittedly, compared to its height of just under, I think it was just under $20,000, we are now seeing a run that is just crazy. We're looking at right now $34,000. And while that seems to have slowed a little bit, which is great for reporting news, because I don't have to, keep updating every 3 seconds on what the current price is. It hit almost $34,000. It's pretty crazy. So they say that Bitcoin value surged above $34,000 for the first time on Sunday as the leading cryptocurrency continued to soar. And this, by the way, coming to us from BBC Tech. They said that it put the gain this year at almost 5,000, although obviously by a little bit later, the price had drifted a little bit lower, but hey, let's face it, this thing's huge. The rise was put down to interest from big investors seeking quick profits. And the last time something like this happened, where it went all the way up to $19,500, I really do feel like that's what happened. A couple of big investors kind of did this thing where they took it from $2,000 or $3,000, pumped a ton of money in, just really, spent institutional levels of money, hundreds of millions of dollars. And in some case, there were reports of as much as a couple $1 billion moving at a single transaction with Bitcoin. And it got people interested. It got, I remember back in the day when people were saying, oh, here's how much Bitcoin you should have in your personal finances. It was starting to replace gold as a way to keep value and to hold value. It was all of that and more. And then the big people kind of pulled out of the Bitcoin market and left the average consumer kind of holding the bag. It was, I would almost say it was price manipulation, but obviously Bitcoin being a decentralized, completely hands-off kind of currency, you can't really report anyone for it. There's no governing body that can, investigate or look into that kind of thing. It just happened, and now we all have to live with it. Well, looks like another round might be happening, saying that obviously in the last year, Bitcoin has soared almost 300%, a little bit more steady gains, with the price of many other digital currencies also rising sharply. With Ethereum, another one, rising about 465% in 2020, some analysts think Bitcoin's value could rise even further as the US dollar drops even farther. And while the value of the US currency rose in March at the start of the coronavirus pandemic, as investors saw its safety amid the uncertainty, it has since dropped due to major stimulus from the U.S. Federal Reserve. The currency ended last year with its biggest annual loss of 2017. So they're saying with the weaker U.S. dollar, obviously Bitcoin being translated to, being compared to the dollar, it's going to be worth more. So with that being said, the soaring price has raised concerns that Bitcoin is due for a dramatic correction, as happened 3 years ago when the value collapsed after a bull run. During the rally of 2017, it came close to breaking $20,000 only to, not much later, hit a low of $3,300. So think about that. It lost a lot of its valuation very, very quickly. So be careful out there. Like it's like 80% drop. It's if you're thinking about getting into this, be careful because it's very strange. So in October, the Bank of England cautioned over Bitcoin's use as a payment method, saying, I have to be honest, it is hard to see that Bitcoin has what we tend to call intrinsic value. It may have extrinsic value in the sense that people want it, and he's very nervous about people using Bitcoin as payments. Now, it's been a couple of months since I looked into the Bitcoin, the transactions, the network, the Lightning network that they were talking about, the forks, and the different ways they were planning on handling transactions. I recall, Bitcoin was meant to be a currency, something that you trade for a cup of coffee, something that you, use in a day-to-day situation. But what has happened was it's being viewed as a way to hold value, such as like gold ingots, for example. And I don't know if it's the best at either one of those. Obviously, it's being used as one, so therefore it is definitely the other. But as a currency, I remember that the processing fees, the transaction fees, and even on top of that, the time it took to complete those transactions. You know how people get annoyed when they're sitting at the card swiper and it takes like 15 seconds for the card to read and process the transaction and say approved or whatever. Imagine if that took 10 days. And that's what Bitcoin was, having to deal with. Even the most basic of transactions were taking 10 plus days because they had to go through exchanges, and, the speed of those transactions were just phenomenal. So it's not very good for a currency. It seems to be pretty good for holding value. And while I can't, the current price of Bitcoin, will cap it off with this. The current price is at about $31,000, which, even in today alone, we're looking at 12 hours ago or something like that. This morning at 3 a.m., it was worth almost, it looks like it topped out at about 33,600, and it dipped all the way down to 29,000. So $4,000 in just a couple of hours, it dropped. And then, of course, it bounced back, and it's going to do this incredible seesaw. I can't imagine trading in that kind of volatility, that it's just wiping out that much of its valuation that quickly. This has been incredible to watch, and I look forward to watching it yet again. So, not an active trader, which most people who talk about Bitcoin, not the case. So, we'll leave it at that. Everyone, let's go ahead and continue on here to our next story. And let's see. So there's Bitcoin, obviously very, very relevant to what's happening. And okay, this will be fun. So if you missed it and you're just joining into the show, everyone, Computer America, thank you for listening. Happy New Year once again. And I think this story will put a little smile on your face because, hey, WhatsApp, of all applications, by the way, owned by Facebook, says that they broke an all-time record for calls on New Year's Eve. And I'll let you guess at home how many were sent. And well, check this out. For the one service for WhatsApp, which again, hugely popular all over the world, we're not talking millions. We're not talking tens or hundreds of millions. We're talking 1.4 billion video and voice calls placed on New Year's Eve 2020. There you go. So obviously those numbers might not ever be reached again, or at least not in the immediate future. Those numbers might not be met again for a long time, considering this is likely due to the COVID-19 pandemic that forced many people to stay home or not travel for the holiday. And if you didn't travel, I thank you so much for doing that. Keep everyone safe. I know that it sucks not being with your friends, family, loved ones, but yeah, it's definitely for the best. Now, with that being said, 1.4 billion of you made a video or voice call on New Year's Eve 2020. It was a 50% spike over the event from a year earlier and surpassed even the early days of the pandemic in March. They're mentioning the early days of the pandemic because, well, those were the most extreme lockdowns, with some countries being under house arrest, don't leave your home unless it's for food or medication, otherwise stay indoors. So there you go. Other apps push boundaries as well. Facebook Messenger had its largest ever volume of group video calls in the US, which with almost twice as many calls as on an average day. Facebook Live and Instagram Live also had 55 million broadcasts worldwide. People were really turning to the internet to, kind of handle this whole thing. And I can't blame them. The networks handled it beautifully. So Facebook said it had to make unprecedented efficiency improvements and otherwise bolster its infrastructure to handle the load from its various apps during the pandemic. Teams were at the ready during the New Year's Eve too. If your WhatsApp call went smoothly, you now know why. And honestly, with that kind of call volume, I am surprised that the app didn't crash altogether. Yeah, there you go. So, let's go ahead and call that one, but I thought that was pretty fun. 1.4 billion calls during New Year's Eve. That's a lot of people. That's a big number. And again, just a sign of the times. Let's move on over to, let's see, not that one. All right, so just a quick announcement. I don't feel like doing this whole, this whole article. This one from Engadget, Miss Nicole Lee. And, well, Amazon, if you're familiar with Amazon's healthcare venture, which I believe is called Amazon Haven. Amazon Haven, if you are familiar with that, then you're one of the few. And, well, obviously with the launch of Amazon Pharmacy, it's a 2-day prescription drug delivery service from Amazon users. It's based on PillPack, a company that Amazon acquired back in 2018. And it looks like the original purpose behind Haven, which was to reduce the rising cost of employer-based healthcare in the US. They said that, well, the 3 companies that are working on this, Berkshire Hathaway, JP Morgan Chase, and Amazon, they just couldn't seem to get a good foothold in the industry of healthcare. So Amazon Haven is disbanding. They're no longer going to be working on it. And they even had a spokesperson say that the Haven team made good progress exploring a wide range of healthcare solutions, as well as piloting new ways to make primary care easier to access, insurance benefits simpler to understand and easier to use, and prescription drugs more affordable. So Amazon is clearly not done with the healthcare sector, again, with their Amazon Pharmacy doing the delivery thing. But looks like as an overarching, we will be your healthcare provider, they are backing out of that. So, yeah, it's if you relied on them in any way, then unfortunately this is your wake up call. They're not sticking around. They are not sticking around. So again, I thought that one would be quick. Another quick one, because we will get a lot more information on this when it happens, but Microsoft 2021. What's in the future? And according to some job listings and some rumors, big UI changes. And this is this is new UI concepts in March 2021. So at the beginning of the pandemic, you can see kind of where they're going with this. It's a lot more flat for everyone out there just listening to the radio program. I don't really have to describe Windows 10 to you, because Windows 10 is in like 95% of computers out there, or at least Windows anyways. It's much more flat, just kind of one color, much darker. So dark theme seems to have really caught on. Honestly, the true differences between what kind of what you have at home right now and what's coming in 2021, probably not too much. Like, they're going to be improving certain elements. They're going to be improving the schedule, the clock. I'm sure that the online meetings, if you are a Windows 10 user, I'm sure that you have noticed the very annoying button that you can hide, but the Meet Now feature, it looks like when it comes to online productivity and meetings and things like that, Microsoft is going to try to take a more front and center role in turning your at-home computer into a workstation. So, and let's see, trying to read here if anything else we need to say, and no, not really. Sun Valley, by the way, I should probably mention the name of the update. Sun Valley is rumored to be a major UI code overhaul expected in Windows 10 21H2, which is the build that will drop in the second half of 2021. To be clear, the rumored part means exactly what it says. Obviously, there's no confirmation from Microsoft, saying that it's not new for Microsoft to deliver some Windows feature through cumulative updates. We have nothing further to share. That is the official response. So, expect some kind of user update in later 2021 and maybe even some new features. But obviously, we'll know more about that when it happens, and we'll be sure to cover that. So, another quick one, and let's see. How about, okay, we have some fun stories here, but I wanted to do everyone, this is as much attention as I want to give this. Quibi, if you've ever heard of the service, you probably haven't, because it's disbanded as quickly as it came out. They were hoping that it would be kind of like the TikTok style videos, very short 3-minute clips, things like that. They thought they could take on YouTube and, some of the more traditional content providers. And it very quickly, it tried to put out like TV shows that were very quick snippets. It didn't really take off. It didn't catch on. And, it just didn't do too well. Well, Roku is coming in, sweeping up the pieces, and its shows could be sold to Roku to be aired on the Roku channel. Quibi announced that it was shutting down back in October, just 6 months after its much-hyped launch, and the service was headed by the former HP CEO Meg Whitman and former Disney chairman and movie producer Jeffrey Katzenberg. By the way, even shows that with $2 billion, it's not easy to launch a new system, or at least a new streaming platform. They already tried to get companies, including Facebook and NBC Universal, to pick up Quibi programming ahead of his demise, and, well, there you go. So, Quibi, gone, probably forgotten, but may live on in some small form in the Roku channel. There you go. So there's that one. We'll skip over that one. This is probably the biggest news of the day, so we should probably cover it. Alphabet and Google by extension, because Alphabet owns Google. Google workers announced plans to unionize, which is pretty big. The unions in America haven't really had any kind of sizable increase. in the past couple of decades. Unions have been attacked and whittled down. Workers' rights and the right to kind of collective bargaining, that's the term. Unions in general have really been on the decline, and in the tech spheres in particular, when it comes to the social media companies or the larger tech companies, talks of unions have always been squashed very, very quickly and effectively. Well, I don't know how they got out of this one. Google workers announced plans to unionize, saying that the union will be open to all Alphabet employees and contractors. Because technically, companies cannot stop workers from joining a union. But we've seen through Walmart, Amazon, many other places that whenever a group of workers seriously start to discuss starting a union, that store gets shut down, that warehouse gets shut down, the employees receive mass layoffs. There's a lot of ways that companies can kind of manipulate it so that they don't form a union. And, well, it's only going to work for so long. So here we go. They said that the Alphabet Workers Union will be open to all employees and contractors at Google's parent company. Its goal will be to tackle ongoing issues like pay disparity, retaliation, and controversial government contracts, saying that this union builds upon years of courageous organizing by Google workers, from fighting the real names policy to opposing Project Maven. Protesting the egregious multi-million-dollar payouts that have been given to executives who've committed sexual harassment. We've seen firsthand that Alphabet responds when we act collectively, which is very true. Going back to some of those issues, Project Maven, I believe, was the contract they had with the Pentagon to work on drones, if I'm not mistaken. And obviously these drones and, surveillance were being used, could have been used in the United States. I think they were to some extent. And then they were definitely being used in war zones. And obviously Google was contributing to that. Some of the other ones, including the real name policy, if you recall that with YouTube and comments, it was a total violation of privacy. They were hoping that it would kind of clean up the toxicity in the community. And, well, no, it didn't do that at all. People were still mean, and they were just less secure for the pleasure. And so there's that. To protesting the egregious multi-million-dollar payouts, obviously a couple of Google executives were caught up in the Me Too movement. So there you go. And of course, as most executives in these large companies have, very, very plush and large golden parachutes. So let's see. So, and by the way, Project Maven was actually an effort to use artificial intelligence to improve targeted drone strikes. So, actually being able to determine people, not just, kind of buildings or targets, but to actually help drones target individual people. It's, I can see why employees would not, want to contribute to that kind of work. Let's see. So with that being said, it goes into some of the things I just talked about. Arranged as a members-only union, the new organization won't seek collective bargaining rights to negotiate a new contract with the company. Instead, the Alphabet Workers Union will only represent employees who voluntarily join, and that structure will allow it to represent all employees who seek to participate, including temps, vendors, and contractors who would be excluded by labor law from conventional collective bargaining. So, that's definitely decent. Now, Google, I think, would have I think they'd be able to say, are you a part of this union? If you are, we're going to look for non-union workers over union contractors. But yeah, I don't know how that's actually going to go. So the reason that contractors are brought up so often with Google is the fact that, Yeah. The reason that contractors are brought up with Google so often is that 80% of, I think about 80%, let's see, the majority of the workforce, I want to say, let's see. So as of March, Google worked with roughly 121,000 temp workers compared to 100,000 full-time employees. So it's more like 60-40. It seems like, so 60% are contractors and 40% are full-time employees that make up all of the workers at Google. So it's very important that any deal that you try to work with Google include those contractors, because again, that is the majority of the workforce. So there you go. A link to it in the show notes. We'll include that there if you want to read more, but best of luck. I'm not sure if they're actually going to be able to do it, because we've heard similar talk from employees at Apple, employees at Facebook, employees at Twitter, employees really all over the tech scene fighting for this, and this may be the first time it actually succeeds, but we'll have to wait and see for sure. Okay, let's actually, I think I wanted to cover that one real quick, or not real quick, but maybe a little bit later in the show. How about we move on? Oh, okay, one more quick announcement and then we'll move on. Adobe Flash is officially dead. And by the way, after it was first announced in 2017, Adobe finally pulled the plug, and it's 2021, and yeah, it's no longer being supported. They recommend that if you have anything that runs Adobe Flash, uninstall it immediately. That is Adobe's recommendation. Don't mess with this, because yeah, it will bite you. It is security, it just leaks security, leaks information, gives permission to execute code. You know, it was a great holdover and a great way to get the early internet up and running and display elements, but HTML5 does it much, much better without without all the security risk that Adobe Flash has. So with this last update, it means that even the extended security fixes that Adobe was putting out for Flash will no longer be, provided. So any new or unpatched security flaws in Flash will remain there for the rest of time. Very, very unsafe. Don't have it there. Uninstall it immediately. So, okay. Let's go ahead and move on to some of our more fun stories. And these are going to be really cool because you got to check some of these out. Let's do the CIA. Yes, that CIA. The CIA that, I guess, among all the problems, all the government spending, all of the different tasks that, we could have taken up, all the causes, it looks like we are going to spend money to instead rebrand the CIA. Because, as they say, they're just not getting the diversity hires that they need. Pretty crazy stuff. So, the CIA, who knew? The coup-plotting spy agency has a diversity problem preventing it from attracting recruits who can trace their heritage to places the CIA has undermined and destabilized. You know, if you actually dig into your country's history, there's a chance the CIA probably had some kind of operation, including the United States, let's face it, among people of color, to destabilize entire regions. So, for years, the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, has had an image problem. Even though it was largely been able to dismiss its involvement in countless military coups, rigged elections, death squads, campaigns of terror, and assassination plots across the global south, the spy agency hasn't been able to shake the perception that it's a white Ivy League boys club. And to be fair, I definitely think that's what it is as well. So that's the first image that comes to mind. a white male affluent person, when I think of a CIA agent. On Monday, in a move that would seem a little too on the nose even for The Onion, the CIA completed a chic and diversity-encouraging rebrand to attract new recruits who can trace their heritage to places that the agency has undermined and destabilized. The newly launched recruitment site features a new techie logo, vaguely familiar fonts, and prominently figured black and brown faces in the sleek new site. So, yeah, and there's lots of different comments and lots of different images here. If you're watching the video portion, this is Twitter, and these are some of the screen caps that the CIA is using. Yeah. It's, it definitely looks like a tech site, I don't know what else to tell you. It looks like a tech news site. So, current CIA director Gina Haspel, a woman who ran a CIA black site in Thailand where secret detainees were tortured during the Bush administration, expressed concerns around diversity at the CIA when she joined in 1985, saying that the CIA had never been on my radar. I didn't think I fit the profile after all the spies I saw on TV were male Anglo-Saxon Ivy Leaguers, not Latinas from New Jersey. Still, I went to my expert life coach, my mother, for advice, said, what have you got to lose in going? So went there to a job fair, and the rest is history because she's been serving for the past 35 years. So, here we go. Even though the agency claims women lead all 5 of the major CIA branches, it has a shocking lack of diversity that hampers its ability to accurately represent the racial groups in foreign countries it has spent decades carrying out its clandestine operations in. In 2015, a declassified report revealed that just 10% of its leaders were non-white. 90% were white. It's crazy. The agency workforce is not diverse, and that the more senior agency workforce is, the less diverse it is. Which I would say in most branches of government, that's probably something similar. So the Associated Press Wire headline CIA's new recruitment website aims to diversify spy agency, noted that while the intelligence agency saw an increase in minority representation, which is up 0.3% to, good job CIA, 25.5%, it was still lower than the federal workforce numbers or the civilian workforce of 37 and 37.4 respectively. Much too low. Because, again, your workforce, especially when you are an organization that large, should reflect the applicant pool that you're working from. In this case, United States citizens. So after the changes went live on Monday, Haspel shared a statement with the AP on the rebrand, saying that she hoped that the website communicated the dynamic environment that awaits potential spies at the agency. There you go. Let's see. So, let's go ahead and talk about, so let's finish this up by saying that, but now with more diverse, inclusive, and dynamic environment, that chapter of CIA's past can finally be redacted. Obviously, the author having a little bit of fun there, poking fun at the, well, not really poking fun, but more bringing attention to the fact that, the agency has, been a part of a number of very serious offenses in a lot of different countries. So I can't really say fun when we're talking about the art of mass murder, terrorism, political suppression, and other atrocities. So, diversity is good, I guess. I don't know how else to say this. And CIA, there's a lot of things that need to happen there and a lot of things that need to change. I don't know if diversity, again, would be the number one thing to change, but it's definitely something to work on. Maybe more viewpoints, more inclusiveness will lead to a difference in their practices. Maybe. So there you go. Okay, there's that story. So again, CIA rebrands to attract more diverse operatives because, again, that was the thing that needed fixing at the CIA. Let's talk about... Okay. This one was pretty disturbing. Ticketmaster admits it hacked rival companies before it went out of business, saying that Ticketmaster used stolen passwords and URL guessing to access confidential data. Ticketmaster has agreed to pay $10 million in criminal fine after admitting its employees repeatedly used stolen passwords and other means to hack a rival ticket sales company. The fine, which is part of a deferred prosecution agreement Ticketmaster entered with federal prosecutors, resolves charges filed last week. Yeah, Ticketmaster the criminal. Ticketmaster admitted that an employee who used to work for the rival company, emailed the login credentials for multiple accounts the rival used to manage pre-sale ticket sales. At a San Francisco meeting attended by at least 14 employees, the employee used one set of credentials to log into an account to demonstrate how it worked. So this one employee that used to work for the rival company, which, let's see, was it actually named? Yeah. It was not named in the court documents, but Variety reported that it was Song Kick, which in 2017 filed a lawsuit against Ticketmaster for hacking its databases, and obviously a few months later, Songkick went out of business. And you could see how a company like, you could see how a company like Ticketmaster being able to undercut its main competitor, or really any other competitor, by logging in and seeing what they're going to sell their tickets for pre-sale, and never having any chance of a fair competition. Yeah, that's going to be very harmful for Songkick's chances of making it. They mentioned that when employees walk out of one company and into another, it's illegal for them to take proprietary information with them. Ticketmaster used stolen information to gain an advantage over its competition and then promised the employees promoted the employees who broke the law. So besides providing login credentials, the former employee also showed Ticketmaster managers how to exploit a flaw in the URL generation scheme the rival used for unpublished ticketing web pages. To prevent the pages from being accessed by outsiders before they were made public, each one had a unique numerical value. The former employee told his new employer that the values were generated sequentially, and outsiders could use this information to view artist pages while they were still in early draft stages. That used to be like a much bigger thing where, web pages aren't really coded like that anymore, and definitely not recently with with things like WordPress. But if you had, let's say, artists pre-sale ticket web page 10,000, and you didn't want to publish it yet, so it would do 10,000/edit, and you wanted to see all the different ones, you could just go to your URL, replace 10,000 with 10,001, and it would take you to sequentially the next page that was being generated. And you could see unpublished things, like they were published on their website, but they were not made public. So just by changing one digit, you could, see what the 9,500th one was, or the 15,000th one was. That's the kind of information. Admittedly, that's probably more of a security risk than some random employee, kind of talking about it. Like, that should have been patched a long time ago. But hey, it was 2017 and they since went out of business. So how are they going to fix it? Besides paying the $10 million fine, Ticketmaster has also agreed to maintain a compliance and ethics program designed to prevent and detect future hacking and unlawful acquisitions of competitors' confidential information. Live Nation representatives did not respond And yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Ticketmaster is going out of business. I believe Live Nation is acquiring them. And this thing where they're, kind of slapped on the wrist with a $10 million fine, because I guarantee you, paying $10 million, they would take that every day of the week if that knocks out one of their prime competitors. Guaranteed you would pay $10 million to have one of your competitors go out of business. And yeah, I don't know. This whole I broke the rules, or I should say you broke the rules, now you have to, by law, follow the law. That whole thing makes no sense to me. But yeah, I don't know. If it's a rule that they have to follow, it shouldn't have to be mandated that they have to follow the rule. So, hey, that's why it's there. So everyone, there's that story. Another fun story. I have no idea how this even got into COVID related, but I should say COVID stimulus related. And for those who don't know, when you are dealing with a chunk of change like the United States government was doing, you're looking at, I don't know, what was like $900 billion or, let's see, $2.3 trillion spending passed last week. Well, this used to be a bigger theme here on the program, and I'm a little sad that it isn't, but it has to do with the paranormal, and specifically, not like ghosts or Bigfoot, but, and I know those are real, but whatever, UFOs. Check this one out. Buried deep in the 5,600-page COVID relief bill, it was full of stuff that was unrelated to the pandemic or the easing of the American people or anything like that. Well, one of them was among it a measure that requires the Pentagon to release information about its UFO task force within 6 months. The bill was pushed by Marco Rubio, who chairs the Senate Intelligence Committee. The report would be made possible by the now newly enacted Intelligence Authorization Act. And according to ex-Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence, Christopher Mellon, who served during the Clinton and George W. Bush administrations, the report is long overdue but still faces a road of uncertainty. So, yeah, this is all about the unidentified aerial phenomena. And it's going to be published. Assuming the executive honors this important request, the nation will at last have an objective basis for assessing the validity of the hashtag UAP issue and its potential implications. The challenge will be getting the myriad of Department of Defense and IC components with pertinent info to cooperate. I think what that means there is that if the higher ups, to me, I'm always a pessimist. I don't know. If the higher ups are like, yeah, sure, go ahead and release it, it's probably not going to be that. It's not going to be that fun to read. And if they're like, oh no, we should not release this, humanity can't handle it, those are the documents that I want released. That sounds like fun. So, yeah, but it should happen. The request comes after an eventful year in the UFO community, with the Navy publishing 3 videos of unidentified aerial phenomena in April that made headlines. This prompted Rubio to ask for a similar report from the military back in July, which has not been made public. Frankly, and this is what Rubio told CBS, frankly, if it's something outside this planet, that might actually be better than the fact that we've seen some sort of technological leap from the Chinese or the Russians. That is the state of the world, where we look at this and go, I hope it's not the Russians or the Chinese. I hope it's aliens, because boy howdy, that would not be good if it were the Chinese or the Russians. But I digress. So yeah, if you're a fan of UFO and UFO community, this is good news for you. Check that out. And again, hopefully all that should be published here within the next 6 months. Okay, we'll do this one next, and then we'll see how much time we have. This is very, very scary. And for anyone out there who's really invested in smart, kind of smart doorbells, locks, home security systems, things like that, you need to pay attention, because this is the scary part. Hacked home cams used to live stream police raids in swatting attacks. So this takes swatting to almost to the next level. It's still the same level, but in terms of actually seeing the results, now anyone can be a victim, because traditionally, whenever swatting happens, it's either against someone that they know, someone that they don't like, or someone who is, they can kind of get a live video feed of that. Live streamers are very prone to, live streamers are a very popular topic to be attacked, because you can see it happen right there as it happens, and this almost makes any smart doorbell its own live stream. So hackers have live streamed police raids on innocent households after hijacking their victims' smart home devices and making a hoax call to authorities, the FBI have warned. They say hacked in quotes, I think. No, they do not. This isn't really hacking. I mean, if anything, it's like social engineering, which I guess is a form of hacking. People gain access to home security systems when people reuse the default passwords that are then circulated in certain circles. So if your webcam, smart doorbell, whatever, comes with the password of default email and default password, and you leave those there, you are now at risk of being identified and then, of course, hijacked. Why does that matter? Well, the FBI said it believed that the latest twist on the prank, quote unquote, was able to be carried out because the victims had reused passwords from other services setting up their smart devices. There you go. Lists of hacked credentials are frequently bought and sold via illegal markets, and offenders often run the details stolen from one service through others to find where passwords have been reused. There have been reports of security flaws in some products, including smart doorbells, which have allowed hackers to steal network passwords and gain access to other smart devices sharing the same Wi-Fi. Very, very popular. Now the apps and websites used to set up such products are often the same in username and password in order to offer location-specific services. The perpetrators call emergency services to report a crime, and the offender watches the live stream footage and engages with the responding police through the camera and speakers. In some cases, the offenders also live stream the incident on shared online platforms. Think like Facebook Live or Twitch or something like that. Some people are into that, and they are very, very stupid. They say that the notice does not refer to any specific incident, but there have been related press reports in recent weeks. And they also mentioned that one in Florida, with a Florida home, of all places, after receiving a fake 911 call from a man saying that he had killed his wife and was hoarding explosives, when they left the building after discovering it to be a hoax, officers reported hearing someone insult them via the property's internet-connected Ring doorbell. Essentially, the hackers, quote unquote, were yelling expletives at the officers as they were leaving the scene, and undoubtedly watched it all unfold. In another incident, the same month in Virginia, police reported hearing the hacker shout, "Help me," after arriving at a home of a person they had told might have been about to harm themselves. And when questioned, the attacker via the device, as in when the police said, "Who the heck are you? What's happening here?" he claimed to have compromised 4 different cameras at the location and to be charging others $5 to watch it online. Saying, quote, After this, we'll log out, tell him to change his Yahoo password, his Ring password, and stop using the same password for the same stuff. And that's what the offender was quoted. So they hacked into his account, and they say they're harmlessly, although it's not very harmless, call in a fake police report, and then when they're done watching the response to that fake police report, tell him to change his stuff so it's not so easily hacked. Ring has denied its own systems have ever been compromised. It uses two-step verification, which means devices owners can only access their accounts from a new computer if they've enter a code emailed or sent to them via text message. However, if either one of those forms of communication are compromised, well, the user, or I should say the hacker, has everything they need to gain access to it. As a consequence, the FBI has advised smart device owners to ensure that they provide a complex passcode to each online service that they use and use it individually. Ladies and gentlemen, password manager, password manager, password manager. It's worth looking into, it's worth investing in, and yeah, it's worth keeping yourself safe. So, that's about it for that one. And I think... So, again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us again, Happy New Year. Thank you for doing that. And I wanted to say one more time that our CES coverage will be happening next week and then going on forward when we have these companies here on the program to talk about it here on the show. So, yeah, CES 2021 starts January 11th through January 14th, and most of it will be done online, live stream, that kind of thing. So I really do believe that the best coverage and the best way to see these products and services and new innovations is going to be on programs such as ours. So stay tuned. Okay. Now, for our last story, I think we have time for about one more. And let's talk about this one, because this one is like, unfortunately, a lot of the response to a lot of the changes is that when organizations have to solve a problem, they go out and they just do like a quick Google search, and it may not fit their needs exactly, but they're gonna make do. And that's what happened with Florida, or at least what they tried to do. Florida is using Eventbrite for COVID-19 vaccine slots, and it's not going well. So, yeah, make do with what you have. Try your best. The country and state have struggled to distribute the vaccine, leading to some countries to turn to the event platform for scheduling appointments, saying that near the end of last year, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis revealed a plan to distribute the COVID-19 vaccine statewide using partnerships between the state federal government, hospitals, and apparently Eventbrite. Yes, a platform known for selling and distributing concert, party, and meetup tickets is now being used to distribute COVID-19 vaccines to some of the most vulnerable people in society. It's not going well. People who want to get a vaccine are sitting on Eventbrite pages waiting for vaccine slots to become available, refreshing the page, and trying to get a spot as though it were a PlayStation 5 or a hot concert ticket. It's really, you would think there'd be some kind of, you would hope it'd be a bit more involved, knowing that, you know, the people who need it most, frontline workers, people at risk, the elderly, were going to get it first. Instead, it's just anyone who signs up first, which, not a great way to do it. Through Eventbrite, Florida State Health Department has partnered with health departments in many of the counties in Florida to organize COVID-19 testing as well as priority vaccination on individuals 65 or older. Healthcare providers such as Baycare, one of the largest healthcare systems in the state, have also used Eventbrite to organize vaccination programs and are now offering drive-through programs in the state. So, yeah. just looking at this, they mentioned that what households can actually access the internet and register for the vaccination. According to the U.S. Census data, anywhere from 10 to 20% of households in these counties have no internet or broadband access, which obviously a significant amount of that falls on poor Black or brown households and are already disproportionately affected by COVID-19. The people who are affected most, and 10 to 20% of them can't even access the way to remedy this. So that's about it for us here, and everyone, thank you so much for tuning into Computer America. Be sure to tune in the future. This whole week shows, next week CES 2021, and ladies and gentlemen, lots of interviews and more coming up here on Computer America. Thank you so much. Catch you next time. Bye, everyone.